What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Lasting Thoughts Podcast. I am your host, Digital Relaxation, and we are here again with another episode. There's a lot that's going on right now in terms of like entertainment and such. It's actually E3 season for gamers. That's basically where they showcase all future games that's going to be coming out in recent time from here to the next year or so. So for gamers, that's a big deal right now. As of today, Xbox actually just had their little conference. I say it was probably average. I mean, I haven't played on my Xbox like seriously in probably 2 or 3 years now, but obviously most of the games are going to be coming to Game Pass, so for that like most of those games are going to be coming to PC, so that's good for me. Other than that, there's only like a couple of games here and there that I'm interested in, not much. That's why I give it an average. I mean, I'm sure there's some games people like that makes the score higher. Maybe some games people did not like that makes the score lower. For me, it was average. I'm not too excited. Like, I'm learning that, like, I'm not learning that, but it's like my excitement level for games is just declining as time goes by. I mean, granted, this year and last year was just terrible for gaming. Not so much the games, but so much as in the whole pandemic and dealing with how they had to develop games. So it's definitely looking like they putting more time into these games now, but it still seemed like it was a hassle for some of these games. So hopefully by the next year, everything will be more interesting as we get back to normal, it seems. But yeah, as well as I believe the Loki show finally been released. I have not started watching it yet because I am watching a bunch of other stuff. I just finished watching an anime. It's an old anime called GTO. I think I mentioned this last episode. I finally finished it. It was good. I just disliked the ending, kinda. I heard that the ending is actually better than the manga. Granted, the manga is a lot longer than the anime, so I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up to find out how it truly ends, but I just didn't like how it ended. Like, it kind of went against everything that he was trying to do, I guess, and it just felt empty. Like nothing was fulfilling about it for me, but hey, it's still a great anime. I can definitely recommend it, especially for people who's into like comedy and like, I guess, slice of life stuff. It's an older anime too if you're into like the old anime design. So the animation is like not as today's standards, but it's still pretty good. Like, the art style is nice and like realistic. It don't seem too over the top. There is some funny facial animations, but that's about it. But yeah, for today's episode, I want to base this around a continuation from my last topic, but I want to include it with the recent movie that have came out, In the Heights. That I touched on it last episode about how much I truly wanted to see like a movie adaptation of it, so I can finally like get into it more. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm just gonna talk about like what that whole thing means to me and how it goes into what I was talking about with last episode. So I mentioned how in like 7th grade, I had my homeroom switched because of a misunderstanding, and the misunderstanding was that for some reason my school thought that I was I guess a Spanish speaker. Like, Spanish was my first language, because I am mixed with Puerto Rican. So they, for some reason, I don't know how they got this information, but somehow they just decided to put two and two together and thought that I was a Spanish speaking person first and that I was struggling with English. So they put me into a whole nother homeroom and gave me a specific ESL class, that's English second language. So they thought I didn't know English, I guess. So it felt awkward for me because being in the class, it was like, there's actually people who like come from different cultures and backgrounds, and they have the different language and their accents, so they struggle with speaking English and they struggle with like reading, like we would read books and stuff. And I felt bad because it's like, here I am, like when we do like group readings and it's like my turn to read, and like I'm just reading it like flawlessly, and then someone else go read and they like struggle with like simple words, and I'm like, this is not right. Like, why am I here? So that was just a weird experience, but that's what I was going into, like when I said that the diversity was different compared to like my last homeroom where everyone was like on the same, like they were all into the same things. That was like the trends and what's popular now. And here, this other classroom, these dudes is worrying about struggling with English. So it was like a whole different view. And it's like, for reasons I was meant to, I guess, see that, like I said, like, the universe just sends you these signs and these experiences, like you should learn from them. So as time went by, we would we would like read books, and then we would watch like the movie adaptations of them and whatnot. And we went to a couple of musical plays. One of them was actually The Legally Blonde. I'm actually a bit interested in musical plays. I haven't gone to them a lot in my own time, but every time I have went to one, I have always enjoyed them. And yeah, so this is back in 2007, the latest, and we went to go see a play. It was an upcoming play called In the Heights. This play was we was like in this, I wouldn't say small, but it was like a decent average sized theater room, like not like a typical larger Broadway play size. But because actually as this play is what led into this movie. The play is the original play with the original cast that was created by Lin-Manuel, and this was like his, like, his door and like his foot into the door of like being into musicals, which obviously he eventually goes on to make Hamilton and such. So it was nice for me to actually see that like his play was not even like on Broadway yet. Like I believe like a year afterwards it finally went onto Broadway. So it was like, it was still like an upcoming play, like still getting its start. And to see where he was when he first made this, when he first was doing this play, to, like I said, now from Hamilton, like one of the biggest plays that was out there now, and he just finally got the movie adaptation to this film, and it's like amazing to see that process. So the reason why this movie / play sticks out to me is going back into dealing with finding out where you fit in and your identity crisis and such. Being that I am mixed, it's real, it can be confusing sometimes on what side of your family to relate to and how you should relate to yourself. Both of my parents basically are from like the Caribbeans. My father's Puerto Rican, my mother's Trinidadian, but me being me, I grew up in Brooklyn, and that like that section of my life is like I grew up with more so my father's side of the family, being that most of my mother's side of the family are in Trinidad, so I don't get to see a lot of them as much. Only when I visit here and there, or when a couple of them will visit us. So I grew up when I was younger with my Hispanic side, and you could get into certain things, both the culture, like the music, the food, just everything about it. But then me being me is like my friends and stuff, like we didn't grow up, like we didn't hang out with each other. Like I used to hang out with like Spanish speaking people like that, like the family may be Spanish speaking, but like we treated each other like we were just normal. So it was like, and being like my skin tone is like dealing with and there's been a lot of times where people don't know what I am, so they don't know how to approach me as well. Like there's been times where Hispanic people has approached me and talked to me speaking Spanish first, and I'm like, I don't know that. And then there's times where there's people that don't even know that I'm Hispanic at all, and it's like it's hard for you to like choose who, like I don't know, like to fit into like I guess a certain crowd. Is like I can go into whatever crowd, and it's like make it hard for you to like find out who you are and where you truly belong. So this play in the Heights is, well, going into, I guess, well, I'm gonna talk about what the play and the movie together, but I'm gonna talk about the movie separately as well, because obviously there's some things that have been changed from a play that came out in 2007 to the movie that just came out this year. Obviously they had to make some minor changes. So the play overall is about finding your home. So again, finding where you fit in. There's like 4 major characters and other side characters, but they each have their own issues with finding like where they belong in this area in Washington Heights. The main character, Usnavi, wants to go back home to Dominican Republic. One character, Vanessa, she wants to just, she feels like she knows she's destined for more, but being where she is and like how people view her, it seems like the odds are against her. But so she's working on trying to like get herself out of that and break that mode. And then there's other characters that deal with things too. So, and of course, the cast, majority of the original cast was, I would like to say, every member on the cast was from a Hispanic descent. So there's no Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, different characters. In the movie, they changed one of the characters, Benny. If you notice the trailer, so if you've seen the movie, you notice that he's played by, I don't know his name, but he plays the actor Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton, which you look at him, he's a black guy, but in the original play, Benny was played by a Hispanic character, and I'm gonna get into that too. But yeah, so this play always stood out to me overall because of that message, and it's probably one of the only plays that I generally listen to like the entire soundtrack to this day, like all the way through. Like I can still vividly capture what I was watching when I was there, as a young preteen or teen. I don't even know how old I was at that time. watching that. And the songs, like there's been songs that like as I got older they hit me more. There's a song called Paciencia y Fe, which is patience and faith. It's sang by Abuela in the play, and she sings about how she came from Cuba to New York with her mother, and just all the hardships they had to go through just to fit into this society, like being a maid and whatever, and how long it took her to, like, as she gotten older, she learned to like start appreciating like the little things in life, the things that, you know, people back at home can't enjoy because of their living conditions. And it's like, yeah, granted, like my home is beautiful. Like this is something I always like I think about too, like when I go like on vacations and stuff, to trips. And you know, when you go to places as a tourist, you know, obviously you know they show you like the beautiful side of everything, like everything is so beautiful here, and like you just wonder like, damn, like what it'd be like to live here. And then obviously you get into like the whole what's really going on in the economy and the politics of it, and it's like not all these places are great to live in. And it's like dealing with that, you know, who really has it the best. Like we love these beautiful islands and whatever, but the freedom or the economy is not as great as it is here. And it's like we take that for granted, and that's why a lot of people leave their homes to come here for a better opportunity. Like, why would you leave a beautiful island to come here? And it's like everything is not great under the surface. So that song, like, I don't know why that song kind of hits me a lot. There's another song, I think it's called, I don't even remember the name of the song, but there's a song where they talk about, one of the female singers talk about like what it would have been like if her parents stood home in Puerto Rico before they had her, and wonder like how would she grow up being amongst her own people, and how would she feel living amongst her own people compared to like where she is now. Not so much of a spoiler, but her character, like she goes to college, and when she comes back home she talks about like the difference of like the community and such, not like the people she was around, and not being comfortable of like the people she was around at the time because they weren't her people, and people would view her a certain way for being who she was. So she was like wondering like how would she be if she was like amongst her own people. And again, like with me being mixed, it's like, you know, what side do I lean more to? Like I grew up with more so my my Puerto Rican side of my family, but I've bonded with like my closest cousins and whatnot are from my Trinidadian side of my family. So like that part of the culture I have growing up with, like in terms of like what I was more around, like in terms of like when you think about your fun years of your childhood and what, like those are the years. And those, like my Trinidad side is what I'm usually around a lot, and it's like hard to say like how to completely be two things, like completely comfortable with being two things. And it's like, you know, learning about one culture and learning about another culture, and then still dealing with the fact that I'm an American. And it's like there's gonna be times where no matter what, certain people are gonna view me as just a black man in America, and like they don't care about what I really am and whatnot. And then I gotta deal with that. It's like the idea of like I had to also be in tune with being a black person as well. Like it's a lot, and just dealing with who or where I belong, like what group of people I belong to, like what I relate to, what I should like study into. So I always try to like I try to have like a diverse group of friends. Like it's just weird, like I said, like comparing school against like prison and whatnot. Like usually when you watch these prison shows or movies, like they have like these groups, like, you know, the blacks stay with the blacks, the Spanish stays with the Spanish in prisons and whatnot. And you notice that in school as well. It's like, you know, there's a group of people on one lunch table and like they all black and whatnot. And it's like, I don't know, it's like just that I don't know, it's like if we being programmed to think that way and whatnot, like just how the community, like there's parts of the world that have like communities where it's like strictly for one part. Like when you go to places and they call places like Little China or whatever, places I grew up in New York, one section is like, you notice a lot of Hispanic people in one section. The next section, I notice a lot of people like Trinidadian and Jamaican and whatnot. And it's like, why is the whole, you know, segregation, I guess? Like, why one community is just strictly that? And that's how like kids see it. Like the kids only growing up in this one part of the environment, so they believe that these are the only people they should be around. And then as they go to school, and then they like, you know, they only see the people that looks like them, so they try to relate to them. Then that goes into like I said, being when I was in my 6th grade homeroom, like it was mixed between, it was predominantly black people in my classes, but you know, like I said, where I grew up, there's some Hispanic people there too, here and there, so it was like a mix. Compared to when I went to my next class, like I said, there was Hispanic people, there were black people, there was white. There was one dude that I became real close to. He was from Haiti, and it was like the diversity over there. And then, like I said, when I moved to another state, and the diversity over there was like even not so much even larger, but it's like a different group of people that I wasn't really around with growing up myself. So it was like trying to find out where I fit in once again, and still dealing with my issue of like, what am I truly type thing. Like those are one of the things that I like always deal with, like when you fill out like those applications and they want to know like, what are you, like Hispanic, black, whatever, and then I sit there and like don't know what to completely circle in. It's just annoying. So it's just a lot. So that's why like that play deals, like it always stuck with me, because of like, even though that these people are like amongst their own people in this small area of the community, some of them feel like they just don't belong here, or they don't belong other places. They just don't, they want to be more than what they are. They want to go back to where they belong. And it's like the fact that they dealing with that, granted they are technically still amongst their own people, but they're not completely there. Like I said, one character is Puerto Rican, the other character is Dominican, but you know, on the surface people are gonna look at them all as just being Hispanic and Latino, and they thinking like, oh, it's all the same. It's like, it's not. And dealing with that is like dealing with my Hispanic side. It's like, I'm not a Spanish speaker, but like, no, there's been times where I had family gatherings, and it's like, you know, when you're like your parents or your uncles or whatever, they don't want you to hear certain things, so like you hear them talking and you get grasping what they're saying, and then right before they get to like the real juicy part, they start speaking Spanish, and it's like, and then they start laughing, and then you just sitting here like, really? Like, I don't know what y'all just said. So it's like annoying. Like, I don't know how to completely relate to that part of my family. Like, when they start speaking Spanish, like, I'm just gonna say it there and be like, what? Even with Trinidad, like, we have like an accent. It's like similar to Jamaican, but more light. Like, I know Jamaican, like, they can be real heavy, like to the point where it's like they have their own words. With Trinidad, is more so just an accent. And like, when I was younger, like, I couldn't understand it myself, like when I would go to Trinidad. So like, people would try to talk to me about things, and I'll just be sitting there looking at them like, what are you saying, bro? So it's like, I can't relate to either side of my family when it comes down to like the roots of it. Like, if someone's trying to speak Spanish to me, I don't know what you're saying. You trying to speak to me in the Trinidadian accent. I mean, I gotten better at understanding it now, but when I was a kid, I didn't understand what you were saying. So it's like trying to figure out, like, I'm just in the middle. I'm just, you know, and there's also that too, when the family members that make fun of you for being an American or whatever, and it's like, oh, like, you don't know, like, I don't know. It's just like, now I can't be. Now I'm being looked down upon for being American. And it's like, I can't fix that. I don't know what to tell you. So that's a lot of things I was dealing with and whatnot. I mean, as I got older, I just learned to just accept just being me. It's not so much of being where I'm from, it's just who I am. All the things that I have witnessed, things that I've seen, or things that I learned. It's like, I am who I am at the end of the day. Like, granted, like, if I one day have kids and whatnot, it's like, I can't sit there and teach them the history of like being, you know, mixed from just my side alone. Then that depends on who the mother is and what they mix with. It's like, they gonna be dealing with a lot too, like just learning from my side alone. It's like, knowing that you're mixed with two things from the start, and then if I find someone who's like mixed with a whole nother third thing that's different, they gonna have to be, yeah, it's just a long family line of stuff that you're gonna have to learn. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's all about who you are. Like, you just gotta be comfortable with being you and find who you are and where you fit in, the people that you surround yourself with and whatnot. And yeah, that's mainly that. Going into the movie, like I said, I mean, I don't want to say spoiler alert. I'm not going to try spoil it. I'm just going to talk about my feelings about the movie and whatnot. So the movie, like I said, ever since I seen the play, probably I would say like around 2009 or so, I always wanted to see a movie adaptation of this play. So for it to finally happen, I mean, the trailer it was originally supposed to come out last year. The trailer, I believe, came out like 2019 or maybe early 2020, but obviously the pandemic hit, so they delayed it a whole nother year. So when I saw that, I was just extremely hyped as is. So, but the fact that I had to wait a whole nother year to finally see it was just but yeah, so the movie, obviously, I won't even call these like so much a nitpick or whatever. Like, the only thing that just won't feel right for someone who, like, if you truly been like invested in like the original cast and whatnot, like, obviously the original cast is not gonna be present because, you know, it's a decade gap between when it first came out. Like, you know, the people who played the characters gotten older and whatnot. So yeah, but I was skeptical about that, and I was skeptical about how the songs will sound. Granted, I still found myself, I was singing to every song that came up. They changed a couple of lyrics here and there, like I said, to make it fit, because they did minor tweaks in the story. Well, minor and major tweaks in the story, but it wasn't tweaks that was like, it didn't kill the core of what it was. So there was like some tweaks and a couple of lyrics. I was like, oh, okay, that's different. But overall, like, if you know the play and you know the songs, you're probably like 90% of the songs you're gonna be singing like word for word. So I found myself just singing along to like every song. Like, I love that freaking soundtrack so much. I would say my only, I guess, dislike nitpick would be two of my favorite songs did not appear in the movie. I'm not going to reveal it because obviously that would just be spoiling what songs are in the movie and whatnot. I mean, there's a few songs that obviously, because the movie itself is almost 2.5 hours long. I mean, that's long as is, but still, just to fit, I believe there's like over 20 plus songs in the original soundtrack. So there's a lot of songs that they would have to like include if they were to go song for song in this movie. So obviously, for, you know, convenience sake, some songs had to be removed and whatnot. But yeah, it really hurts that like two of my favorite songs didn't make it. But granted, that's fine. And before I go back to that, yeah, I don't want to spoil it. I'm gonna go back into the play. So in the play, like, there's a character named Benny, and his thing is, again, like I said, in the play, he's played by a Hispanic man, and I guess he would be the character I can relate to, because he grew up, even though he's Hispanic, he does not know Spanish and whatnot. So he feels like he's not, I don't know, like, some people will like look down on him or whatever for not being, like, I guess 100% into his culture, I guess, because of how he grew up and whatnot. They never really explained that situation in terms of the play. Like I said, granted, the movie, they completely recast him into being a black male, so that's a whole nother thing in itself. But yeah, like I said, like, so just the fact that, like, when I deal with, like, I don't know, I speak Spanish and whatnot, and not knowing, like, am I truly accepted here or whatnot. When I went to Puerto Rico a few years ago, like, seeing like my father interact with people and whatnot, and they speak Spanish, and it's like, damn, like, could I even like come here like by myself and still make it? Like, granted, it wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't like if you go to like an Asian place where like almost everything is Asian, they would have some like English translation for some stuff, but most of the time it's like, yeah, you gotta have someone, I guess, to help translate or something, or just know it. So I don't think it's that bad, but still, it's like, it's that part of the experience that's like, you know, this is part of who I am, but yet I can't completely relate to it. But yeah, so going back to the movie, I'm like all over the place. Yeah, so some songs didn't make it. Two of my favorite songs didn't make it. They retweaked the casting. They gave people different backstories and whatnot. But like I said, it's like it's all these tweaks that I feel that it's kind of necessary, because granted, you know, like I said, for movie's sake, you want to make a complete story. Like when you watch the play, it kind of ends open-endedly. Like you kind of get an idea what everyone is going to be doing, but in the movie you actually get to see it. Like they give you a complete fulfilled ending. So they had to like make those adjustments so that you can get that feeling like you get that fulfilled, like that. All right, everyone had their journey and you get to see where their journey took them. But yeah, like granted, so like I don't know, like I don't want to reveal too much or not. I love the movie. The movie is amazing. I actually found myself tearing up on one of my favorite songs, and the scene that followed it, that kind of broke my heart. I don't really, like I said, well, I'm glad that for spoiler's sake I won't get into it, but it's for other reasons I won't get into it as well. And yeah, like I don't know, I don't usually like cry or tear up over things. I mean, I do here and there, like depending on what I'm watching, but like I guess it's more so with anime stuff. The anime things I watch are very like impactful stuff. Like I don't just watch whatever when it comes to my anime. Like I try to watch stuff that like I can really like deeply resonate with. So like when certain scenes happen, I feel it. But this one, it was like, as much as like I know the play, I listened to the soundtrack and everything, and I was seeing the tweaks that was happening, and I was noticing like some of the songs were actually also being played out of order. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, because my song hasn't come up yet, but I know it's in there because they showed it in the trailer. And I'm like, oh, don't tell me they're gonna do it like this. And I wasn't prepared. That one crushed me. So yeah, if you like, even if you are aware of what happens from the play and whatnot, like it probably can still get you. But even if you don't, and you do just truly enjoy it, like yeah, it can be quite a ride. I definitely 100% recommend watching this movie, even if you know the play or not. It's just great. Yeah, and like I said, it's just great for like, especially for like me, like just that part of like being that part of my culture and my background. It's like I love to like, you know, see it. You know, it makes you more proud of being who you are and where you came from and where your family came from. It's like, you know, like this is part of me. This is like, no matter what, even though I can't relate to certain things 100% and whatnot, like the stuff that I do know and the stuff that I do relate to, like this is still me. This is still like, you know, my foundation of what makes me me. Is like I love seeing stuff that I can relate to, and I love seeing like characters I can relate to. And also, granted, that's like one of the things I mentioned last time, like when I watch things or rewatch things from like when I was younger to now, like there was certain characters that like I favored when I first seen the play compared to as I got older. I constantly keep listening to the soundtrack. This like lyrics and from certain characters that I started to like get into more. And then now with this movie, like the recasting and the retelling of the background of the characters, like I completely relate to a whole nother character that I originally related to when I first seen the play, and it was like amazing. That's like this character was like made for me in a sense. So that was great. But yeah, like definitely recommend you guys seeing that movie. Definitely worth the wait. You will notice some Easter eggs here and there too, especially if you are familiar with the original cast and the original soundtrack. One little tidbit I would give, like I said, they couldn't play every song that was on the soundtrack, but if you listen to like the background music during like conversations and dialogue, they will actually play some songs that have not made the actual movie. But if you know the song, you would know what you would know what that melody is. And I'm like, oh, like it's just nice to like some way they incorporate that song, even though it didn't make it to the movie, that it wasn't one of the songs that they sang. They still played the melody or the instrumentation of it in the background during like certain dialogue scenes, or just scenes to give like, you know, the feeling of the environment. So there's some things here and there for the people who originally came from like watching the play and whatnot. So yeah, like I don't know, like this play means a lot to me. Like I said, I found this play 2007 due to a misunderstanding. Like that's another thing too. Like what if I didn't switch class? Like I would have never seen that play. I would have never fell in love with the musical. I would never fell in love with the soundtrack. I would have never cared about this movie coming out just now. Like all of this, like just because of that misunderstanding led to this point in my life that where I can see this movie and know how much it means to me and know how much it impacts me and how it made me feel while watching the movie. Like yeah, like definitely hats off to Lin-Manuel as well. Like I said, I don't know 100% his whole backstory. I know he made In the Heights, I think probably in college or high school. Like he wrote the storyline to it. So this was like his baby. Granted, I know a lot of people probably know him from Hamilton now, but if you don't know him beforehand, yeah, In the Heights was like his baby. And to see how I saw the play, like, you know, and this, like I won't say it's small, but like it wasn't like, it's like I would compare it to being small, like the small theater, and now this man got it to be a movie adaptation, and it was a great like quality and everything too. It's not like it was just some cheaply made thing or whatever. Like it's I definitely appreciate the work this man put in to get to where he is now. Like granted, I know that I used to like follow his YouTube back in my high school time, and he would upload like some older like I guess like some older like skits or musical things or scenes he would act out when he was younger and whatnot, like giving context to how like he grew up, I guess, being bullied and whatnot for being into theater. Like, you know, usually, I mean, you know, granted, it's more accepted now, but you know, back then when, you know, you look at people into theater, you would think that they're a certain type of way and you would judge them for it. So he was picked on for that. So like to see him go from a picked on kid for liking theater to now making one of the freaking biggest plays in Hamilton and getting one of his earliest production made into a movie, And the fact that, like, yeah, to see him be a part of it, to see him witness it, I'm sure that was a great moment for him. So definitely hats off to him for, yeah, making his dreams come true. That was it. Like, it all started with a dream, with him just making this story, and here he is now, man. Definitely big. So yeah, definitely go watch that movie if you have not seen it. I also recommend, if you have not seen the original play, I'm sure like you can find people uploaded some parts of like the plays, or there's like schools that would like reenact the play as well, if you can find that there on YouTube. But I would also recommend like listening to the original soundtrack as well. One thing I would say I do love, and one of these things I actually like, these are like, you know, blessings, things that you don't take for granted. The only original cast from the original play that made it into the movie was Abrella. She plays, it's the same woman that plays her in the original play is in the movie, and that's amazing because, like I said, one of my favorite songs is hers, and her voice is just amazing. So that's great that they was able to get that as well to happen. I mean, not only to get that to happen, but it's just great for, like, you know, blessings that she was able to be here to reprise her role and whatnot. That's just great stuff. Yeah, man, just cherish everything. That's it. Yeah, I don't know. But as far as other stuff, like I said, Loki just came out. I think I'm gonna let Loki play out until it's done. I personally don't care for Loki. I know he's a fan favorite. That's the reason why he got a show. I personally don't care for him. I never did. His character arc was for me, so I don't mind letting this play out. It's whatever. But I will, whenever it's done and I watch it, I will probably talk about it on here as well. I don't know what else is coming out. I know Marvel did their whole big reveal. I think after Loki would be Black Widow. So I don't know. It's whatever right now. I'm, like I said, at this point, after the Infinity Saga, my care for the MCU is like, the only thing I'm really caring about now is just Doctor Strange, and that's like later down the road, so it's gonna be a while till we see that one. So as of right now, I'll take my time on that. But yeah, I'm just going back and rewatching. I guess I'm just going back and rewatching older movies again. I'm watching older animes. I don't try to rush into watching newer animes. Just so much. I just don't like waiting weekly for episodes. Like, this anime that I'm actually watching now that's new, and it's like waiting for every episode, and it's like sucks. Like, I just like binge watching my whole show in one shot. So that's what I'm doing right now. As I said, it's also E3 season for games, so hopefully, I don't know, I'm just hoping for better games to come out. I actually have a lot of games in my backlog as well to play, and another video that I am working on as well, so just busy, keeping busy, creating, doing things that I love, doing things that I enjoy. Great. I can't complain. But as for that, I mean, yeah, that's mainly about it. I don't even think I got a question for the day, because all I did was just talk about In the Heights. I mean, yeah, I mean, well, even though I did talk about this last episode, and I did continue with this episode, going into it again, like, it has, like, for people who are like their family come from a different culture, background or whatnot, but you grew up differently, so like Has there been times where you felt out of place amongst your own family, I guess, because you weren't as involved into the culture as they were? I guess that'll be my question of the day for you guys. And yeah, it's been another episode of the Flashing Thoughts podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. Share it to anyone who would like to hear things about this or hear me talk about In the Heights. And yeah, see you guys next episode. Peace.